Hello everyone, my name is Pete. Welcome to the channel. So this video is going to be special and dedicated to my professor Kerensa Allison, who is my anthropology professor, and this is a manifesto, my last project. So I hope all of you enjoyed it. So what is the study of anthropology? So anthropology, in definition, is the study of humans of all time cross-culturally by looking at holistic views in other cultures, from looking from deciding from AMIC, which is an ideal on what culture is expected to look like from an outsider perspective, to looking towards ethic or a real perspective on what the culture really is. So my main thesis, which should be, I would like to use anthropology to make society connected by increasing empathy for one another's perspective, which may differ from your own, because I think society has been growing differently, strongly towards their own opinions, and I would like to share hopefully what I learned that might be able to like implement towards person one another. There's gonna be 5 topics I'm gonna talk about and an extra one to tell. So hope you enjoyed the topics. So first off, I would like to start off what I learned from the art of ethnography. So one of my the second challenge I did, challenge 2, is talking to strangers, and instead of engaging them in small talks that you might not see them every day, you just talk to them in big talks, which is asking the bigger question on what you're gonna what's gonna happen, what do you want to do before you die, or what's on your bucket list, or asking a bigger questions. So why would the heck will be helping empathy or any related to it? So which the tools that I'm using, which are the anthropology toolkits, which are communication, empathy, and thoughtfulness. Those 3 are the tools for anthropology people or anyone that can use that can make it impactful, because I would like to address that everyone has their own biases, which is called ethnocentrism, which is leads to the opinions that one's own way of life of culture is correct. So this would lead to like a single story bias, or thinking that your culture is the best, which is not wrong because everyone has their own biases, even myself. But I would like to like see like people like kind of learn or change to learn towards cultural relativism, which is having an objective cultural context, or the view that ethical and social standards reflect the cultural context from which they are derived, or using based on facts, research, knowledge, than emotional use of argument. Instead of using emotionals, you have to use research and facts to kind of define on what the culture is, that specific way of trying to understand like that. And the challenges was objective is to practice the anthropological mindset of asking questions, making connections, and trying new things. Second, I would like to talk about the evolution and human potential. So about 60,000 years ago, there's a mind Big Bang theory, which our ancestors has the ability of collective learning, which improves faster scales on learning what our ancestors has been discovering and improve upon it. And we have the ability of a species to retain more information one generation with more than one generation than it is. So over time, the previous generation kept the knowledge, and over the course of time, we just improve upon times. And that information sources from the Human Evolution Crash Course Big History number 6. And one of the challenge that I took was challenge number 4, the 28-day challenge. Well, this challenge was about habit loop, which neurologically loop that governs ourself. In order to create a habit, you always have a cue on what you're gonna do and a routine that you're trying to keep it consistent. Then you have a reward to kind of accomplish on what you do, which the objective is to practice trying new things, experience more, and to reflect more deeply on how humans learn and create new habits, as well as how you specifically can better identify what conditions or techniques. So, while it might be slightly different from empathy, but it's kind of like trying new things, experience new things, something that you don't do that often. Like some people like me, I try to work out almost like about 3 to 5 days a week. But my challenge was reading a book 10 minutes a day, and I have completed it. It was very hard, challenging, and rewarding. So I would like to like transition to like see on how empathy on people can observe and things. Third, language hidden assumption was the topic. And what is language? It is a set of rules, transmission of cultures, context for symbolic understanding. According to Steven Pinker's argument for language instinct, he addressed humans are born with an innate capacity for language because the human brain is already programmed to learn languages. For example, babies have professional grammar before the age of 7 to learn the language. So our brains originally are like born or created to like be able to function and learn things quickly. So we're like it's like a sponge absorbing. And the challenge that I did was called word weaving, which the topic was to invent a word, phrase, or metaphor that you think would make the world a better place, and then try to spread it amongst audience. The objective was to see your own seeing by reflecting on the language and metaphor you use and how you might choose different language or metaphors to change the ways you think and act. New perspective, open up new questions. So this might also help you ask new questions and make connections to new ideas. So, for example, the word okay, it has spread throughout every culture, countries, and I bet most of the countries know what the word meaning. If you even if you have not speak the language, but at least for social medias now that it has been improving, it has spread out throughout the countries just like a wildfires, and it is important for us to know that though our words are very impactful, and if we choose to think kindly and carefully towards one another, I bet we will be able to spread good things around us. Fourth, it is sex and gender, which is an extremely hard topic and controversial but the challenge that I took was called Challenge 9, asking 3 different generations of how they think gender has changed over time. The first I have interviewed was the older person who she described that people used to hide their true gender and before because society might discriminate them in the past, but now we're moving towards a new age where people in this new generation or this new world are accepting towards one and another. The second person that interviewed was towards my own friend, which she thinks that like the gender is more focus. It will used to be a focus on the topic, and now is towards self-focus in the world, becoming less of a social construct. Gender nowadays is viewed more of who you are as a person than instead of how you are fit in society. The last person I interviewed was a younger person, which gender itself hasn't changed a whole lot. Just the way that we express our gender has gotten a lot more normalized, and people are able to express it with less fear than they used to. People are able to create communities and friend group around them. So the this idea challenges the norms of seeing something that we do not understand, but being accepting towards one another is very important because we are living in the same world, then might as well create less conflict and love one another than just create more problems in the long run. Fourth, uh, poverty and inequalities. No, crap. This is fifth. I realized that. So the people who are living in poverty often is viewed as being lazy, no skills, or feeling that they want to be part of that society. That only is true when less than 5% of in the United States shows that kind of specific personality like that. It is not the people's choice to be poor, but it's the circumstances. I When I was doing this assignment, we watched a video called The Line, which talks about how people that are living around us are sometimes making less than 20,000 a year and barely living, not because they do not want to, because some of the people that they introduced me were smart, have a degree, a good person by heart, living in a good condition and not having any problems, and just this jobs are not supporting because the system is not working, because the people are sometimes holding on to the American dream, which the American dream people often describe is if you work independently and have always have hard working, then you will always achieve the higher goal. But that is not true in most cases. Even though the system in the United States, the mobility to move up and down is better in most other countries, but some other countries like in India, the caste system is there, and if you're born into it, you cannot move. And what we could do also for that situation is recognizing the people who are in poverty in our communities, addressing the government for them to take actions in order to decrease the poverty rate, and have the community help each other's, and hopefully be able to connect more closer towards one another. So first, we gotta recognize that we are part of the society structure, which all of us are. Even in the technology internet community, we all are connected to one another. Knowing how we are making up the structure, so kind of what role we are playing or what we're impacting one way or the other. By me talking in here, I'm already creating connections, hopefully creating connections or making some impacts. And knowing that participation is not a choice, this one is important. When there's a conflict and you do not step in, or if you do step in, that's a choice. But if you do not step in, you're still making another choice, which could be impactful, that is indirectly towards the conflict, but you're choosing not to do anything, so that's another choice. And last, how we participate in our important choice to impact society. So normally it often always comes up to you on what answer you would like to do or what word you would like to see. It all starts with you, so you always make the call, and often leads to the challenge 7, the global connection and inequalities. This challenge shows like gratitude towards my technology or things. For example, I show thanks to the company HP Howlett Packards. I think I'm butchering the name wrong, but I appreciate for the company for creating my laptop, for being able to get my homework done, for being able to look things up, watch YouTube, watch videos, and other things. And it is convenient for me to like do research on my computer instead of like going to a library or buy an expensive desktop for me to work on my schoolworks and stuff. The goal of this challenge is to broaden my understanding of how much it costs to be yourself, your global connections, and how the world works, to bring about prosperity as well as poverty and inequalities. This is an extra one, the sixth one that I decided to put it in because this is the couple videos I have made it, and I'm still nervous, but I'm going to talk at another one, which is the identity, race, and ethnicity. The Challenge 8 was a race card project and talks about how I would think that like the best word that I think for a race card is please be kind to one another, because everyone has their own strong opinions and I do not blame them, but sometimes opinions can be chosen as jokes and stuff, and society is rebuilding itself. But in order to do that, we should understand the other's perspective side in order for us to move together. For example, like the beginning of the United States, Columbus and the founding fathers, they had great intentions, but it has been for a very long time for about race topics and ethnicity to conflicts. So I think nowadays we are improving, going to a better path right now. But moving forward, I am willing to continue to be open minded and understand the perspective of others, of how others have been through. So, what I have talked about was the topic of the earth of ethnography, the evolution and human potential, the language hidden assumption, sex and gender, poverty and inequalities, and identity, race, and ethnicity. So, what I have talked about is I want to use anthropology to make society connected by increasing empathy for others, perspective which may differ from my own. In hopes for this video, some hope most of you understand what I'm trying to get through. I hope everyone is treating one another kindly, and I hope you all have a great day, and thank you very much for listening to my presentation.